Hello dear UPSC aspirants. Today is 24th March, Monday, and I'm Akriti Kanchi, your mentor from Prep-IS, and we are trying to read newspaper as effectively as possible, right? So today we have a lot of articles which about the happenings of the recent week, and we will see how to read it from both prelims and mains point of view, right? So let's start from the front page, 24th March. Now, this article is purely important from mains point of view and not prelims point of view. Women bouncers in Kerala break gender stereotypes. Though women bouncers are coming in all parts of the country, including Delhi, Gurgaon, and everywhere, but Kerala, the Kerala case is mentioned here. This comes under GS paper 1, role of women and women's organization. Right, so women bouncers are quietly breaking the gender stereotypes, right? Because when you think of a bouncer, it was mostly a men-dominated or something which requires physical force, in which we consider men to be superior, something like that, right? But women are also coming in there, assuming crucial roles in protection groups contracted by hotels, clubs, shopping malls, etc., to deter party spoilers and troublemakers. So to, catch troublemakers and remove them, right? So one of the, agent is saying that social skills matter more in in a bouncer's job or in any job where you need to regulate things, right? Because it's not just about the ability to physically overpower somebody. It is about the ability to speak to people, capacity for gentle but firm persuading power is very important. Spotting potentials, problems early, so you have to be very vigilant also. Where is the problem happening in the group, right? Accurately interpreting behavioral clues, quickly de-escalating tension. So before the tensions is coming, you spot it and you remove it, right? And staying calm in the face of aggression is valued more than the sheer muscles. It's not just about showing your power, it's about showing your intelligence and wit along with some muscle, right? Let's move to the next article in the page number 4. So here something, this is again important from both prelims and mains point of view. Male devotees defy dress code, enter Kerala temple wearing shirts to protest caste-based discrimination. Okay, so it is important from GS paper 1 point of view, where caste-based question comes in the mains paper, right? So this is one of the kind of caste-based discrimination in the centuries-old Koyakkal Sri Dharma Sastha temple in Ranni, Perunadu under Travancore Devaswam board in Kerala. So in Kerala, there's a temple where there was a rule where men had to enter without shirts. So it's what is a caste-based discrimination. So now a group of Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Yogam. So now comes the prelims importance. Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Yogam. Right? It was influenced by Sri Narayan Guru. Right? It was formed for 𝐻𝑝SC community. Right? Under, in 1903, it was formed to fight for the rights for 𝐻𝑝SC community and lower, communities. It was a part of temple movement. Okay, so you should know, read it from your spectrum or any other modern India book, that what is Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Yoga and when was it found and through whose influence. Okay, so though they were the same organization who entered it wearing shirts, defying the long-standing tradition. It was a symbolic protest against caste-based discrimination, right? They urged temples to abolish the outdated custom. So this can be used in the conclusion of a question in which caste-based issues are being asked. Okay, let's move to the next article. Now today is 24th March and it is World Tuberculosis Day, right? So there are several articles related to tuberculosis and it is important for us because India has the highest burden of highest burden of tuberculosis of the world, right? That's why these articles are important. Before that, we'll just see what is happening around delimitation commission. So Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has vociferously, bringing all the southern states CMs and Punjab and Odisha CM to come and sit and discuss delimitation commission issue, because they think with the new population census and the delimitation that will happen according to the new population census will reduce the weight and the number of constituencies and power of southern states and the states which have reduced population, right? So these are the issues being faced by southern, mostly the South Indian states, right? So there was the topic is petty politics. It will come under GS paper 2. Delimitation commission will come under constitution and GS paper 2, right? So there was an inaugural meeting of Joint Action Committee on fair delimitation, right? So They don't want delimitation exercise, as I told you, based on the current population. So in 1971, see, now the times have changed. The theory and the narratives have changed. In 1970s, the population theory talked about containing the population, that containing the population is the only way for a better future, right? This was a theory in 1970s, 80s, when China brought one child policy, and India was also trying to do family planning things so that we limit our population to only 2 children, right? But now things have changed. Now the concepts of demographic winters are coming. Depopulation issues are happening in a lot of countries like Japan and a lot of Norway and Scandinavian countries, right? So these countries are now bringing policies to encourage marriages and having children, right? So now the narratives have changed. So it's not just about containing population. So now population is not that a bad thing as it was in 70s. So in 70s, when family planning came, South Indian states responded faster than the North Indian states, and their population reduced before North Indian states. This idea, this I'm explaining for the beginners who don't know the population, how it happened, right? So that is why they want to freeze it to the 1971. There was a freeze on the number of parliamentary constituencies based on the 1971 census for 25 years. This happened through 42nd Amendment Act. That's why Indira Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi were working against population expansion, and it was extended again via the 84th Amendment, and until 2026 the constituencies will be decided. The number of constituencies will be delimited based on the population of 1971, right? So till now, it is the 1971 population census is still working, right? So they are saying that the states who worked better for family planning should not be punished, but there are more angles to it, right? So they are talking about representative democracy. The editor is saying before initiating the delimitation commission, there should be inclusive dialogue that takes all the concerns of all the states, right? Transparency and consultation will be better before coming to a conclusion. That's the article. Okay, the article let's discuss this article also, and then we'll come to tuberculosis article. Not the only path. On 21st March, that we discussed on Friday, the news, there was a headline where 30 Maoists were killed, and it was achievement of our forces who have achieved reducing the Maoism in the country, right? So this article is about that. GS paper 3, this comes under GS paper 3, internal security, linkage between development and not terrorism, I've written it wrong, extremism, right? So the article is saying a purely militaristic solution against the Maoist is not always a good idea, right? So they are saying that, okay, that is okay, but that will lead to some some repression happening in their minds, and that can again come out later on. So some purely militaristic solution that envisages a violent end to the insurgency has the possibility of causing disenchantment among tribals. A better solution would be to involve civil society in working out a truce and sending a clear message for Maoists to give up their violent path for rehab and give incentives for their rehabilitation. So it has given some best practices also there. The experience of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, FARC, and Nepali Maoists who gave up their insurgent campaigns, because of such kind of initiatives. So you can use this as best practices in the conclusion of the answer related to Naxalism, that this FARC, Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, and Nepali Maoists who gave up their violent methods of Maoism. Let's move to the main articles of tuberculosis. So this is a well-written article which talks about how we should improve upon it and what is the status of India, the need for universal and equitable health coverage, right? So this comes under GS paper 2, issues related to development of social sector like health, and tuberculosis or disease is part of health, right? So, in India's effort to reduce tuberculosis has achieved certain success because of several things that we have done, like expansion of molecular testing for rapid detection. So to finish TB, you have to firstly detect TB as fast as possible. So molecular testing for rapid detection of TB and drug resistance, this you can write when question comes about what government has done, government's efforts to reduce TB. So molecular testing for rapid detection, the introduction of the shorter all oral B-palm regimen. So when the regimen of medicines are too long, it is difficult to follow it. So shorter regimen was brought, which had 4 drugs: bedaquiline, Pretomanid, 𝐿𝐼𝐴, and moxifloxacin. It can be asked in prelim. These medicines can be mentioned and can be asked it is related for which disease. Bedaquiline, Pretomanid, 𝐿𝐼𝐴, and moxifloxacin, right? So these are some initiatives that government has taken: molecular testing, shorter regimen drugs, 𝐤𝐥𝐻 Poshan Yojana. So they are giving money to tuberculosis affected people, so that because nutrition is a major part to reduce the tuberculosis issue. Rollout of TB preventive therapy, expanded role for communities through the involvement of TB survivors and champions. India has achieved certain success. There was 17.7% decline in TB incidence in India. In 2015, the incidence was 237 per 1 lakh population. तो 1 लाख लोगों में 237 लोगों को होता था 2015 में. But now in 2023, it is reduced to 195 per 1 lakh population, right? So that's quite a good. We also have programs like National Tuberculosis Elimination Program, and we also are trying to achieve universal health coverage, right? So what government has done? So Ayushman Bharat National Health Protection Scheme was launched in 2018. It is trying to provide universal health coverage. TB has been integrated. TB is the part of both two pillars of Ayushman Bharat. First is Ayushman Bharat, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which is for it's the world's largest insurance, and it provides more of tertiary level health. The second is Ayushman Arogya Mandirs, right? AAMs, which is another name for health and wellness centers, which helps in more of primary level issues, okay? Which provides a comprehensive basket of primary healthcare sectors. You should know these from prelims point of view also, okay? There are two levels, right? So integration of TB at the primary level is quite a welcome thing. Diagnostic treatment and things are happening better. But there are more things that can be improved, right? Though TB services are free, a lot of people still seek private, because of lack of awareness of what government is providing, right? So that leads to uneven standards, and private is not providing that quality that public is providing. So that leads to out-of-pocket expenditure for families even now, right? So the editor is suggesting 5 steps. Okay, what are the 5 steps? We should work to achieve decentralization. We must strengthen person-centered care approaches and deliver them at scale, right? So, a person-centered, how to work around the person, that is very important by strengthening investment in the traditional inputs for health. Second is develop mechanism for recognize intersectionality. So all the people who is affected by TB are not going through the same, right? So there are issues across gender, age and caste. So somebody who is 70 will face different issue than somebody who is 17. Somebody who is a male will suffer from different issue than somebody who is a female. Someone from Meghalaya will suffer different issue than someone from Tamil Nadu, right? So these kind of problems, this kind of differences must be addressed. Socioeconomic status and occupation determine. So a gender responsive approach to TB, recognizing that women, men, LGBTQ community persons experiences TB differently, and the solution should be given accordingly. Third step is integrated care remains a challenge for India's health system. We continue to build our primary care services. So along with TB, sometimes people have depression, hypertension, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or asthma. So for example, if I have TB and along with other diseases, you'll have to see things in totality. You just can't treat my TB and leave other diseases, okay? So you have, for example, if somebody really depressed is coming and is affected with TB, we need to make sure that that person is alive and not doing something like suicidal, right? So you have to provide models of integrated general health screening in community setting, right? Fourth is universal health coverage approaches are centered around minimizing out-of-pocket expenditure, which is good. So schemes such as 𝐤𝐥𝐻 Poshan Yojana, right, have helped alleviate the financial burden on families by providing monetary support so that TB patients can eat nutritious food. That is very important, right? So social protection, nutrition support, all these are important. Finally, fifth step, equity in terms of access to information and knowledge is very important. So promoting knowledge about drug-resistant TB. You should know what is the issue of antimicrobial resistance. What is antimicrobial resistance? If I am having TB, the bacteria in me is adapted to the medicine I'm eating. So the medicine will not have any effect on me, right? So the higher level of medicines have to be given, right? So this antimicrobial resistance kind of TB has to be treated differently. So these are the steps you should write in the cases of TB issues, okay? The last, this is also related article, again about the TB. It's saying TB is a simple yet complicated disease because it affects person's physical and mental health, stigma, loneliness. All these are the combined issues. It's not just about treating TB, but other issues also, right? So it also dismantles social network, disrupts economic progress, and cannot be cured by medicines alone. And the medicines are equally important, right? It's an airborne disease, so it should be, it should be treated like that, right? It needs well-trained health workers to deliver care, also psychosocial support, right? So we need to improve airborne infection control. All that is there, and corporate India should also step in. Let's move to the next article. Yeah, next article is here. So this article, I'll just tell you in brief. It's about Kurdistan, right? So the complex struggle for Kurdistan. Why are we talking about Kurds? So yesterday was Navroz. Navroz is a festival celebrated by in the large scale by Kurds. Okay, so Kurds are facing a lot of issues. Like, even though fragmented by local struggles for power between different tribes, the Zagros range of mountains that form the heartland of a hypothetical Kurdistan, home to Kurds of different identities, is rich with history. So you should know about Kurds, where they are, where they are found. Okay, and it's also important. It's also, you can refer from a world history point of view. Okay, so Kurdish people can be found in the northern part of Turkey, Syria, Iran, and Iraq. So the problem is the Zagros mountain range on the northern part of these countries are inhabited by Kurdish people, and they want their own nation state now, which is very difficult. That is the issue they are facing, right? So traditionally, nomadic societies spread across modern day Turkey, Syria, Iran, Iraq, and Armenia. So you should know where they are found from prelims point of view. Kurdish people have been moving for more than a century. They're trying to find their own state, like Hindustan, like India. Similarly, they're trying to find Kurdistan, a state which has been imagined by its people ever since the concept of nation state came. So Kurdish society was spread across the Ottoman Empire of medieval India and never managed to unite under a single identity like Armenians and Turks did, right? They were not able to unite at that point of time, and now it is becoming very difficult because Iran will not give its territory, Iraq will not give its territory, neither will Syria might, but so it is difficult for them to find their own nation state. So they are located in Zagros range of mountains. You should know this. Zagros range of mountains that form the heartland of a hypothetical Kurdistan, home to Kurds of different identities. So Kurd is not just one religion. They are majorly Sunni Muslims. Some are Shia Kurds, some are Alevi tribes, so that they have different religion, right? So Ottoman rule at its height so when Ottoman rule was there, the Kurds were their allies, okay? So these were the issues, and then Treaty of Sevres was signed on August 2, 1920, which brought the Kurdish people closer to statehood than ever before and ever since. But the treaty was drafted by Britain, but Kurds failed to capitalize because they were not united themselves. Okay, so Ottoman government, which signed it, had not ratified it, and later on the Turkish Republic, which was founded by Kemal Pasha, whose name is Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. So he did not work on it, right? So they never were able to achieve the statehood. So you should know about Kurdish people a little bit. You should have basic information. Let's move to the next article. We'll directly go to, so this you should know from prelims point of view. India imposes anti-dumping duty on Chinese goods for up to 5 years, right? So what is anti-dumping duty? India has imposed anti-dumping duty on 5 Chinese goods to protect domestic players from cheap imports from the neighboring country. So when it is done, so when they think that the products are being imported to India at below normal prices, so then at these situations, to protect our industry, to save our people from the bad intention of other countries, we do impose anti-dumping duty because they're dumping it in a very cheap prices, which is not right? So anti-dumping duty you should know from prelims point of view. Let's move to the next article. Directly on the science page, why do people get tattoos? Twin study says it's nurture, not nature. This comes under GS paper 3, general science. We'll not get much into the tattoos thing, okay? So that they are also not sure what is the reason, but you should know what is nature. Nature is genetic, how you are genetically determined predisposition that affects one behavior, how you took some traits of your parents or your genetic people. What is nurture? Nurture is the cultural and the extrinsic factor. Nurture denotes extrinsic factors such as one's education, culture, family, and peers. So nature versus nurture debates keeps going on. It can be also used in essay. right? So they are talking about, how people respond to tattoos, right? So firstly, they are telling about twins. So how twins are formed, they're telling that. That is important for us, okay? So how does zygote is formed? So father's sperm and mother's egg leads to zygote, which later leads to embryo. When does the non-identical twins form? When two sperms fertilize two eggs, which results into two zygotes. So they are two different individuals. So they are non-identical twins. And when are the identical twins formed? When there is one embryo, that is one sperm and one egg leads to one embryo, and they get divided into early stage, then they are identical twins. So you should know how they are formed, identical and non-identical twins, right? So they have tried to find some concordance at work in monozygotic than in dizygotic twins of the same sex. So there is more similarity in monozygotic twins than dizygotic. Okay, dizygotic are almost similar to siblings, but but more with more genetic similarities. Okay, so since adding any foreign substance to one's body is a health risk from a medical viewpoint, studying the long-term effects of tattooing on public health has been an important research focus. Okay. The last article of the day, lapis lazuli. Very interesting. I've been reading it since I started preparing for UPSC in history. In the Harappan part, will read about lapis lazuli, right? So it's a vividly blue rock, as you can see, with gold streaks. Okay, it's a prelims fact, right? So it has minerals like lazurite, and then it also have pyrites. So it has been found where? Mainly in Chile, Russia, and US, but most prominently in Afghanistan, Badakhshan province. Right, so it has been being mined since 6,000 years. Traders in India imported lapis lazuli from Badakhshan around 1000 BC, since long back. Okay, so lapis lazuli ornaments in the remains of the IVC, Indus Valley civilization, and Mohenjo-daro has also been found in Mohenjo-daro, Harappa. Ancient Egyptians have also used this, lapis lazuli. So you should know. Yeah, and one article that we missed from 21st March. Right, we were discussing on Friday. This was a 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝑚, beautiful picture of a 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝑚 dance. Okay, 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝑚 is a folk dance, right, of communities like Pulayar, Vannan, Kalandi, Velan, right, Malayan, in Kerala and in southern Karnataka. The story. So 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝑚 performance, you should know if a question comes on prelims, 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝑚 folk dance is of which community? So it is of a folk dance of caste like Pulayar. Okay, not the upper caste, but the different other castes. Okay, where they talk about the story of a warrior who was reborn from his ashes. So 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝑚 folk dance from Kerala, that we missed on 21st March. That's it for 24th March. Thank you.